Ethan stepped off the shuttle and inhaled the crisp alien air. The forest stretched endlessly before him, tall trees with bark that shimmered faintly in the light of the planet's twin suns. It was beautiful and quiet, untouched by the noise of human colonies he had left behind. Here, he would be alone. Here, he could build a life, with nothing but his own hands and skill. He carried a small pack of tools, a foldable energy generator, and his personal supplies. His first steps were careful, but confident. Every human learned to survive. But Ethan was more than a survivor. He was an engineer. He could build anything. He knew the risks, yet he felt no fear. Only the pull of solitude and the satisfaction of creating something with his own hands. By noon, he had chosen a spot for his cabin, a clearing near a gentle stream with stones for a foundation and soft moss for insulation. He knelt and pressed his hand to the earth. "This is perfect," he murmured to himself. He could feel the pulse of life around him, the subtle vibrations of roots, the wind brushing through leaves, the distant hum of insects. Here, he would make a home. Ethan set to work. He unpacked his tools, saws, hammers, nails, a compact 3D printer that could create lightweight building materials. First, he marked the boundaries of his cabin, using small wooden stakes. He measured carefully, his hands moving with practiced precision. This cabin wouldn't just be a shelter, it would be a symbol of human skill, a testament to ingenuity in the middle of an alien wilderness. As the first logs were cut and stacked, he felt the rhythm of creation settle into him. Each swing of the axe, each careful alignment of the beams, was a note in a song only humans like him could understand. It was tiring, but satisfying. By evening, he had the cabin's basic frame in place, walls rising steadily from the foundation, a rough roof forming over his head. But he was not alone. In the darkness of the trees, unseen eyes watched. They were large, intelligent eyes that glowed faintly in the shadows. Lyra, a lone alien mother, observed Ethan. Her species had lived on this planet for centuries, yet contact with humans was rare. She had seen humans before hunters, colonists, but never one who moved with such calm confidence, such focused purpose. Lyra crouched low among the ferns, careful not to make a sound. Her body was unlike anything human. Long limbs, delicate, flexible, with translucent skin that shimmered faintly in the dim light. But her mind was brilliant, sharp, and curious. She had lost her own offspring years ago, and since then, she had avoided human settlements. Yet something about this human drew her attention. He was alone. He built. He survived. He was remarkable. Night fell quickly on this planet, the twin suns dipping below the horizon in a wash of purple and gold. Ethan lit a small fire near his cabin and sat beside it, eating a simple meal from his supply pack. He listened to the forest, the distant hoot of alien birds, the rustle of unseen creatures, the soft gurgle of the stream. Everything was new, yet comforting in its own way. From the darkness, Lyra observed him. She stayed at the edge of sight, letting him feel the solitude without intrusion. Something inside her stirred a memory of her lost child, a longing for connection, a fascination with this human who was so alive, so independent. She did not understand why, but she stayed. Over the next several days, Ethan worked tirelessly. He reinforced the walls of his cabin, built a small deck overlooking the stream, and installed a rainwater collector using simple tubes and containers. He made shelves from fallen wood, carved furniture by hand, and even crafted a small stove from metal scraps he had brought. Every task was executed with precision, every tool used with care. Despite the alien world surrounding him, he felt at home. Humans were adaptable, he thought. We survive. We thrive. We make order out of chaos. That was what made them extraordinary. And here, alone in the wilderness, he was proving it. Lyra continued to watch, invisible but ever present. She noticed everything: the way he measured the angles of his beams, how he selected the straightest logs for support, how he paused to listen to the wind before starting another task. She had never seen a human like this. Not one so methodical, so capable, yet gentle. And she began to feel something she hadn't felt in years: curiosity. One evening, a sudden gust of wind tore through the trees, scattering leaves and knocking a few small branches toward the cabin. Ethan's roof was almost finished. But one panel shifted dangerously. He rushed to secure it, his hands moving quickly but carefully. For the first time, he felt a prick of unease. Nature here was wild, unpredictable. But he was human. He could handle it. He always could. Lyra tilted her head, intrigued. She wanted to help, to intervene, but she hesitated. Humans were fragile, but this one seemed different. He was strong, intelligent, careful. Perhaps she could trust him, or perhaps she could just watch. By the end of the first week, the cabin was functional. Not fancy, not polished, but strong. Ethan stepped back, hands on his hips, and admired his work. Solid, he said aloud, almost to himself. It'll keep me safe. It'll last. Leader servities now. End quote. Where may be. End quote. He spent the next days arranging the surrounding area, creating a small garden patch with alien plants he had researched before leaving the colony. He set up a filtration system for the stream, learned which local fruits were edible, and even began crafting simple furniture from fallen branches and vines. Every step was a lesson in patience, observation, and adaptation. And all the while, Lyra continued her silent vigil. She marveled at his ingenuity. He was not just surviving, he was improving, creating, making this place better. Something inside her, long dormant, began to stir. Perhaps it was hope, perhaps it was admiration, or perhaps it was something else. Something she couldn't yet name. One night, a strange sound echoed through the forest. A low, mournful call that belonged neither to human nor bird. Ethan paused, listening. His instincts were sharp. He was cautious, but curious. He gripped a small tool in his hand and stepped outside, eyes scanning the darkness. He saw nothing, only the shifting shadows of trees. Lyra watched him, invisible. She wanted to step closer, to make contact, but fear held her back. She could not risk startling him. Humans were unpredictable, yet she remained, unseen but ever present, drawn to this human, who built, who survived, who lived with calm courage. By the end of the first part of his journey, Ethan had not only built a cabin, he had created a home, a testament to human skill, adaptability, and perseverance. The forest was dangerous, the planet alien, yet he had thrived. And somewhere in the darkness, a lonely alien mother watched him, curious and fascinated, marking the beginning of a connection that neither of them yet understood. As Ethan drifted to sleep inside his cabin, listening to the gentle gurgle of the stream and the rustling of leaves, Lyra retreated to the shadows, a silent guardian of sorts. She would return tomorrow, and the day after. She could not leave. She could not resist the pull of this human's presence, nor the story that was beginning to unfold between human ingenuity and alien curiosity. And so, alone in the alien forest, under alien stars, a human built a cabin, and a lonely alien mother watched from the darkness. The next morning, sunlight poured through the trees, scattering golden beams across the forest floor. Ethan woke early, stretching his arms and yawning. The cabin was still warm from the small stove he had lit last night, and the gentle sound of the stream made the place feel alive. This solitude suited him. Here, he had time to think, time to create. Ethan stepped outside, surveying the cabin and the surrounding area. The forest was quiet. Almost too quiet. He noticed small disturbances in the undergrowth, a leaf that had moved slightly, a broken twig in a strange pattern, and footprints that did not belong to any animal he knew. He paused, bending to examine them closely. They were oddly shaped. 3 toes arranged in a triangular pattern. No claw marks, and slightly glowing in the morning light. He muttered to himself. That's strange. Ethan didn't panic. Humans had always survived by observing carefully. He studied the marks, noting their direction and size. He speculated. Maybe a new species, or perhaps some unknown native animal. His mind cataloged the possibilities, but he felt no immediate threat. He trusted his skills, his ingenuity, and his ability to adapt. From the shadows of the trees, Lyra watched him. She had not intended to leave clear signs of her presence, yet she could not resist a hint of interaction. Her mind was curious, fascinated by this human who noticed the small, subtle details of the forest. Her species could communicate telepathically, but she did not know how to approach a human safely. Humans were fragile in her eyes, yet Ethan seemed different. He was alert, careful, intelligent. She would stay hidden for now. Ethan spent the morning strengthening the cabin. He repaired minor weak points in the roof and added a small veranda using extra wood from fallen branches. Each nail he hammered, each beam he positioned, was done with precision and care. Humans were extraordinary, he thought. Our strength lies not in raw power, but in thought, skill, and perseverance. He smiled to himself, proud of what he had accomplished. Meanwhile, Lyra moved closer, careful to stay in the shadows. She observed his methods, analyzing how he thought, how he created, how he adapted to the environment. Her curiosity grew. She had been alone for so long, and now this human had entered her world not as a threat, but as a force of ingenuity. She felt a strange warmth in her chest, a feeling she had not experienced since before she lost her own offspring. By afternoon, Ethan decided to explore the surrounding forest. He wanted to understand the resources near his cabin. Edible plants, safe water, possible dangers, and paths for hunting small creatures. He packed a small bag with tools, a water flask, and a few simple supplies. He walked carefully, making marks on trees to remember his path, a habit from years of exploration training. He noticed movement out of the corner of his eye, a flash of something luminous between the trunks. He froze, heart steady, eyes narrowing. Nothing appeared in the exact spot, but the feeling of being observed pressed gently at the back of his mind. Ethan took a deep breath and continued, curious but cautious. Humans thrived on curiosity. That is how they survived and evolved. Lyra followed at a distance, keeping to the shadows. She mirrored his movements, careful not to make a sound. Every gesture, every cautious step of the human fascinated her. His intelligence, his methodical approach, his awareness, it was unlike any human she had observed before. Slowly, she began to think of him not as prey or invader, but as something different. Perhaps a companion, though the word did not exist in her language. As Ethan explored, he found a small grove with alien fruit hanging from twisted branches. He examined them carefully, checking their color, texture, and smell. Some were safe, he concluded, while others were bitter or mildly toxic. He harvested a few and packed them carefully. This was human survival. Observation, experimentation, adaptation. When he returned to the cabin, he found something strange. Small piles of stones arranged in deliberate patterns had appeared near the entrance. He froze, examining them. Each pile was perfectly symmetrical, unlike anything nature could have made. A chill ran down his spine. Not fear, but fascination. Someone, or something, was watching him. He smiled faintly. Interesting, he whispered. Humans thrived when faced with challenges. Perhaps this was one. Perhaps he had a new neighbor. He didn't feel threatened. He felt intrigued. Night came quickly. Ethan lit a fire and sat near it, eating some of the alien fruits he had harvested. He kept his eyes on the forest, alert but calm. Shadows moved subtly, almost imperceptibly. He sensed a presence, a careful intelligence observing him. He knew humans were not alone in the universe, but he had not expected contact so soon. Lyra, for her part, watched closely. She had left the stone patterns as a form of communication, unsure how else to make contact. She could sense the human's thoughts in a faint, indirect way, his curiosity, his caution, his respect for life. Unlike other humans she had encountered, he did not exude aggression or fear. He was different. She wanted to know more, to see his reactions, to learn. Over the next several days, this subtle interaction continued. Ethan found more signs. Rearranged stones, small piles of glowing moss, leaves stacked in odd patterns. Each time, he analyzed them carefully, hypothesizing what they could mean. He realized that this was intelligence, not accident. Someone or something was trying to communicate, but in a way that did not threaten him. Ethan adapted. He began leaving small responses of his own. A carefully placed stick, a carved wooden symbol, a note etched on a flat piece of bark. He was cautious, but patient. Humans were extraordinary because they could adapt to the unknown, and he intended to do so. Lyra observed this, fascinated. The human understood subtlety, patience, and observation. He did not fear her presence. He respected the patterns she left, and he responded in kind. Her mind stretched in excitement and curiosity. She had never encountered another being who could communicate this way without words. Slowly, she allowed herself to get closer. Drawn to his ingenuity, his calmness, his life force. One evening, a sudden storm rolled in, faster than either of them had anticipated. Wind howled through the trees, rain pelted the cabin, and lightning lit up the sky in jagged bursts. Ethan rushed to secure the roof and strengthen the walls. Despite the fury of nature, he worked with precision, moving as if the storm were a puzzle to be solved. Lyra felt a pang of worry. She had never helped a human before, but this one was extraordinary. She focused her energy, telekinetically shifting a fallen branch that threatened the cabin. Ethan noticed it. A slight movement, almost imperceptible, but enough to prevent damage. He paused, staring at the branch. Something unusual had happened. "Huh," he murmured. "Not my doing. Strange." He did not panic. Humans thrived when faced with mysteries. He considered possibilities: gravity shifts, hidden wildlife, or some other unknown force. He smiled faintly, intrigued. After the storm passed, the forest smelled fresh and alive. Ethan stepped outside, examining the surroundings. Everything was intact. Something had helped him. He did not know what or who, but he respected the intelligence behind it. Humans were adaptable, he thought, and would always learn. Lyra, hiding in the shadows, felt a mixture of relief and excitement. She had acted, subtly, to protect him. She had tested the human, and he had not reacted with fear. Instead, he was curious, careful, observant. Perhaps he could understand her. Perhaps, one day, she could reveal herself fully. Days passed, and the silent interaction between human and alien continued. Ethan's respect for the forest grew. He realized that survival was not just about strength or skill, it was about understanding, patience, and adaptation. Lyra's presence, though hidden, became part of his routine. He sensed her intelligence, her curiosity, and even her empathy, though he did not yet know what she was. One morning, Ethan awoke to find a small gift at the edge of his clearing. A glowing fruit, unlike any he had seen before. He picked it up carefully, turning it in his hands. It was sweet, fragrant, and clearly placed there deliberately. He smiled, realizing that his mysterious observer was not hostile, but curious, intelligent, and possibly friendly. And so, the bond began, not yet seen, not yet spoken, but established in gestures, signs, and observation. Ethan thrived, building, creating, surviving. Lyra watched, fascinated, drawn to the human who was more than mere flesh and bone. He was ingenuity, perseverance, and spirit, all qualities that defined humanity. By the end of Part 2, the forest held a secret, a human who thrived in solitude, building a life from skill and determination, and a lonely alien mother who watched from the shadows, intrigued by the strength, intelligence, and curiosity that only humans could possess. The connection had begun, quiet and unseen, but unmistakable.